Have you figured out your niche? Are you helping adding value to other people's lives? Then you're in the right place. Welcome to Munira's Musings with your host, Munira Jahabi.
Greetings from Chicagoland. This is Munira from Munira's Musings. Good morning, everybody. It's our Monday show. Welcome to Munira's Musings. And our guest today is Darlene Thorne. Welcome to Munira's Musings, Darlene.
Thank you. And you're there in my old stomping ground, Chicago, Illinois.
That's awesome, right? There's a lot of people who've kind of passed by or lived here or grown up here, and that's so amazing. But then
Yes.
after that, after a while, people just move away.
Yeah.
So, folks, good morning again, and thank you so much. This is a show where we showcase people who have made it, people who have found their niche. This, as a niche navigator, we talk to people about creating and finding, creating a dream, making a dream a reality, and then finding the right people to talk to. And we showcase these people who are here to share their journey to whatever they are doing. And it's amazing. We are in our season 5, and we have grown quite a bit. And we are everywhere where you can find podcasts. So if you'd like to be a guest on our show, please message me. And if you like the messages shared here, please go ahead, share, like, and subscribe to our channel, and uh, we will want you for our fan. Thank you so much. So without further ado, Darlene, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'd love to share a little bit about me. Again, I am Darlene Thorne. I am your caregiver's co-mentor, and I help leaders to get their lives back, and I help them, I show them how to practice intentional good self-care. So many times they take care of other things and people and their businesses and all of that, and they neglect taking care of themselves. So I help them bring back, I show them how they can bring themselves back to putting themselves on the to done list so that they can really impact the lives of those they've been called to serve, especially those who are caring for others.
That's a very sensitive subject because I was a caregiver to my late husband, and it's a hard job. This is a very hard job.
Yes, it is.
So tell me, first of all, who are you caring for?
Right now, my husband, in November of 2019, he suffered a hemorrhagic stroke, which was a stroke that caused a brain bleed. And he was in the hospital total time, 6 months. And during that time, he had to learn how to walk and talk and eat and move about all over again. And as you can all recall, in March of 2020, everything shut down, and from March until May, I could only see him by way of Facebook Messenger using their FaceTime. And so every day, that's how I would help him to uh, continue to heal. And so that's who I'm caring for at this moment. And it is a I don't want to say that it's hard so much as I will say it is challenging because you have to find ingenious ways to continue to care for you as you are caring for your loved ones.
I hear the buzz about caregivers right now a lot. But when
Yes.
I was taking care of my husband, I would go literally to the doctor's office and break down and say, "Do you not have help?" And they don't have help for people who are caring for, because you are constantly on your feet. You are constantly at their beck and call, the people you're taking care of. So
Right.
this is a very sensitive project. And it is a very sensitive subject because many people don't know how to deal with it, or many people just don't want to talk about it.
Yes.
So first
I
of
have,
all, I'm sorry. First of
well,
all, your husband is out. He's at home now.
yes, he is at home. He came home May 6th of 2020. And we have been walking through the process of healing. The strength that he has been getting has been phenomenal. One of the things that we are working on is his eyesight. When the stroke took place, it affected his peripheral vision. So we are seeing an eye doctor who is giving him exercises. We are doing different types of therapies to enhance the eyesight. The other thing that we are dealing with, as I mentioned before, the hemorrhagic stroke affected a part of his memory. So there are things that he will remember from years back, but then he may not remember that he just got finished eating. So, there are things that we are working on with him, and it is an amazing journey because yesterday I experienced those little wins, and I believe that those little wins are so important and so special. The little win was I was in the kitchen, and there is a wall between the kitchen and our living room. And I said, we come inside the house, and I said, honey, hang up your coat. And he says, well, where's the closet? I said, honey, the closet is just before we get to our bedroom. Open the closet door and hang up your coat. And he did. One of the things that makes that so special is the fact that the time it took him to get from the kitchen to the closet, he could have forgotten. He could have not remembered, why am I going in this direction? But his memory is increasing where I can see that he is retaining the information that he's been given. So that has been an amazing thing to see what happens. And you're absolutely right. It is not talked about when you go to the doctor's office because the focus is on the person that is being cared for. And I believe that it's important that we as caregivers make sure that we put time in for ourselves. When we go to the doctor, make the appointment for the doctor, make sure that we're making an appointment for us too. And don't not go to that appointment simply because you're feeling like, oh, if I go, how are things going to work out over on this side with my spouse or with the one I'm caring for? Because if we cannot pour from an overflowing cup, we cannot serve them well and we won't be served well. So it is something that we have to really learn how to create harmony in doing so.
You bring up a very good point. And years ago, even before my husband was sick or something, years ago, almost 15, 16 years ago, when I worked in the pharmacy, my director of pharmacy, every time he had his birthday month, he would have his dental checkups, eye checkup, physical checkup, and that's what he did. And he goes, this is for me, it's my birthday month. Most people like to go on a vacation, most people like to go and have a treat and be with friends. But what they did, what he taught me, was just make sure that you are taking care of yourself. And I've
Oh, that's
taken
so good.
heart, right? And anybody listening can take that too. Take your birthday month and make sure all of your appointments are booked, because you are the only one that can take care of yourself. And better you take care of yourself, then other people don't have to run after you. And that principle I have done very well. And when my kids follow the same principle. So something, when you talk about self-care, that's one thing that you might want to take care of. So my other question is, you've kind of shifted your whole life, right? So for me, I used to work in corporate America. I was traveling so much. then as my husband deteriorated, and I'm saying that in the most loving way because his diabetes took over, and diabetes is such a wonderful disease, it just shuts you down. So,
Wow.
people, if you are borderline diabetes, please take care of yourself. There is no such thing as borderline to me. Either you have it or you don't. But
Right.
taking care of yourself is one big aspect, and I'm a very big advocate for that. My father, my grandma, my two husbands, both of them are deceased. Both of them had diabetes, and it killed them. So one thing I want to share with you all is that when his health deteriorated, I had to give up my corporate job and be a full-time person for with him. Um, how what were you doing before, and how has it affected your life?
Well, that's a very interesting question because I have to take it back to when I was a little girl. Back to when I was 13 years old, I was a candy striper. And I don't know if everyone is familiar with a candy striper, but that's a person who volunteers at a hospital, usually on a Saturday or the days that they're not in school, and they go to the hospital. They will give out books, they'll give out, drinks and water, and they'll go into the different rooms, and they will make sure that the people that are in the rooms are happy. You share a story or read to them if they need it. And that was when I was 13. When I was in high school, I worked in a nursing home. In a nursing home, I learned how to turn. I learned how to change their padding. I learned how to teach how to help them to get up from the bed, get into the wheelchair, all of these things. I had no idea that years later, all of those things I learned then helped to serve me now as I served my husband. And the other thing is, when my husband and I got married, one of the things we also talked about is how would we raise our children? I really desired to be at home with them, to be a stay at home mom. So anything that they got involved with, any sport, any activity that they got involved with, they would not have to say no because there was no transportation or no way to get them there. So I have been at home running an at home business as a notary. I worked as a real estate agent while we were living in Chicago. And then when I came down to North Carolina, I was full-time mom. And the Lord opened doors for me to do coaching, do speaking. Again, as I said, as a notary, I worked in the school system all the time that they were in school. And so when my husband had the incident of the stroke, it turned my world upside down in terms of the freedoms that I had just to go, go, go wherever I needed to go. It caused me to make different types of plans. So I had to make sure that I was planning even more succinctly to make sure that he was cared for and that I also would take care of me. Those were things that I really believe were preordained that I would have never thought of, but they were already thought of for me so that I could be here for my husband and make sure he has exactly what he needs. So I believe that we have, in the 36 years of marriage, I think we have fulfilled just about all of the vows.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So, you know, you brought up a very good point, right? Because we all have had to do things when we were very young that has allowed those skills to blossom now because we sowed the seeds back then. It's the
Right.
same for me because I was thinking, why me? For a long time, I started asking myself, why me? Right? And things were supposed to be all rainbowy and unicorny, if you will. And, there's a sunshine every single day. But life, we really know that isn't like that. And
Right.
our plans, our pre-made plans, ours, are
Mm-hmm.
never going to be fulfilled because he has other plans for us. And sometimes you get angry, and sometimes you want to cry, and sometimes you just want to
Yes.
break down and give up. But you don't. You have to keep
No.
going. Otherwise, you are,
Have to keep going.
yeah, you have to keep going. So I love this
Yes.
story about you, the fact that you are taking. But what has kept you going? Like, I'm sure
Mm.
you felt like the same questions. Why me?
Mm.
Why is this happening to me? And sometimes have you felt like giving up? And I'm asking you these raw questions because
Yeah.
I know there are people out there listening who know and sometimes feel the same way that we have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Have I felt like giving up? I will say I felt tired. And tired in the sense of the question I asked was, is it ever going to get better? Is it ever going to change? Is it, or is it ever going to end? Those were some of the questions I asked myself. Other thoughts I had were, what did I do? What part did I play? Was there something that I could have done differently that maybe the situation that happened, maybe it might not have happened? You know, you go through the stages of grief because this is a loss. It is a loss of the person that my husband used to be. He is not the same person. There are things that he was doing that he's not doing right now. Like right now, he is not driving, but he's so in his mind. He will tell me every day. And I bring that up because this morning, you guys will get a good laugh out of this. This morning, I was finishing a prayer call, and I was here, right here, sitting right here in this space, and I hear a boom. And I'm like, what is that noise coming from the garage? I go out to the garage, and my husband is sitting in the driver's seat of the car, and he says, I want to drive. That's something that has never left him. And so I believe that at some point in time in his healing process, he will drive. But I asked myself those questions. What part did I play? I asked myself, when will things change? When will things, manifest? And what I had to come to terms with is that I take it one day at a time. And
Us.
it's the one day at a time. And you indulge yourself in the good stuff. You when my husband hung up his coat yesterday, I called one of my good girlfriends and I said, "Guess what happened?" I share all, even the smallest of wins, because that's what makes the journey better. Everything starts up here. Everything we think about, it manifests through our lives. When we focus on the negative, that's what we produce. But when we focus on the positive and think about what is one good thing, and take that one good thing and think about it the entire day, that makes all the difference in the world. And before you go to sleep at night, think about that one good thing. If you have a gratitude journal, write out one. If you can't find three, and you can find one, be grateful for the time you have. Because if we spend most of our time asking us the questions that we really don't have the answers to, we frustrate ourselves, and then we become frustrated with those we're caring for, and we can be resentful to them, and then we're not serving from an overflow, but then we are serving from the dregs, the tiredness, the frustration, the depression, and all of those things that will not serve us well and will not serve them well.
You bring up a very good point. And what you said is that be thankful of the person sitting there with you, because when they're gone, it's the hardest thing you have to deal with. I'm sorry.
No, I understand so much because I've lost in the process of my husband being in the hospital. My mother-in-law passed away. His mom passed away while he was in the hospital healing. It was during the pandemic, and we could not go to Massachusetts where she was because this thing that was in the atmosphere, we weren't able to be with her, to be with the family up there. When we experience loss, when we experience pain, I've learned, we have to lean into it. Let it flow, let the tears flow. Because I've also learned that these tears, each kind of tear we cry, the tears of sorrow, that's a different chemical balance that flows from our eyes than the tears of joy. And so we want to make sure that we're leaning into it. And my heart goes out to you because I know that it's not easy. I know that it is a day by day, like I say, sometimes even second by second way of living. And we've got to lean into all of that and know that he knew best, even though we don't know. And we ask for different. But as Paul asked the Lord, remove this thorn from my flesh, the response came, my grace is sufficient. I am sufficient to carry you through. And I do not believe that any of us that are in the circumstances that we're not in here by happenstance. I really believe that we were built for that. And our stories are not for us, but our stories are to encourage someone else. Because your strength, Miss Munira, your strength encourages me. And I thank you.
Thank you. This has been a very heart to heart talk. Thank you so much. I'm going to say, how do people find you? Because there's people who need you.
Well, I am right here on Facebook. It's called the Intentional Self-Care Zone with Pastor Darlene, right here on Facebook. You can also connect with me at my website. And my website is www.darlenethorne.com. You can reach me there. You can also find me. I'm on Clubhouse. I have a Clubhouse room called Refresh, Refill, Renew. You can locate me there as well. And I'm on Instagram as Lady Darlene. Well, Lady Darlene LT3. I got hacked. So
Oh
I
my
had to
God.
get, I had to get a new IG, and everything was the same up until I got hacked. So I had to change it. So it's Lady Darlene LT3, where you can find me on Instagram. And I think that's it. And I'm also on LinkedIn.
So
So you
you know,
can find me on all
let's
social.
yeah. So let's get one person. If you are on Facebook and watching this, go ahead to Darlene Thorne, and she has a good Facebook page. And then Darlene, when we are done, you can just put in the names of your website so people can look for you here. The
Absolutely.
the other thing is, as we come close as we come close to a close of this session, it's been a very heart-to-heart moment. We're talking to Darlene Thorne right now about how she has evolved when as she cares for her husband. You know, we all have to find a different niche in life, and I think niches are seasonal. That's always been my belief, and I now believe it even more, because you never know what situations put you in that place where you just have to step up. And that's the most efficient, the most marvelous thing about us, is that we can evolve and we are not giving up. So thank you so much for sharing this journey, Darlene. I
Thank
really,
you.
really appreciate it. And for everybody listening, take a step back. And one thing I'm going to tell you is, take a step back and look at your loved ones. Time that we have here is not promised to anybody. If you live your life in a joyous way and you exuberate happiness and joy and this positiveness, it's going to be a very effective journey. And you don't know how many people you will affect with just one smile. So take a step back, smile, tell people you love them, and till we meet you next week, thank you so much. I appreciate you all, and
Mhm.
have a wonderful week.
Bye.
Bye.